The PlayStation 5 will no doubt have many amazing exclusives when it releases next year. From the new to the old, there'll be many to choose from. With Sony developing a new controller for the PS5, including an enhanced sense of immersion around the touch features, haptic feedback, and adaptive triggers, we will no doubt see these exclusives thrive. So there's already so much to be excited about with the PlayStation 5, and the console wars will rage on up until the 2020 release of the PlayStation 5 and Project Scarlet. Now, many gamers will be deciding which console they want to get at launch, depending on the exclusives that are available for each one. So here are the PlayStation 5 exclusives we want to see at launch. Now, kicking things off is Killzone. It's been a while since we've seen a Killzone game. In fact, it's been 6 years. Killzone is a squad-based first-person shooter which first released on the PS2. After a solid reception, it was Killzone 2 that really blew players away with a 91 out of 100 rating by Metacritic. This was Sony's answer to Halo and Gears of War. It definitely gave Call of Duty a run for its money, with Modern Warfare 3 reaching the halfway point at this time in its lifespan. Back in those days, having both a PlayStation 3 and an Xbox 360 was a very big rarity, and it made Xbox players that much more jealous that this amazing first-person shooter was in fact on the PlayStation exclusively. So evidently it's been a while since we've seen Killzone on the PlayStation, and it's actually been a while since we've seen a good Killzone reach the PlayStation. Some of the most recent editions of the game in the franchise have not quite been up to scratch or managed to live up to the hype of some of its earlier days. What made it so different from Call of Duty was that it looked like a military shooter, with a cover system mechanic and class-based multiplayer. It certainly made a change of pace from the Call of Duty formula that some people may have started to get fatigued from. However, the strong start started to fall off.
Why haven't you delivered your weapon prototype to the military? I will not place weapons of such magnitude into the hands of a total incompetent! This is an outrage!
With a bowing out so early, it's likely many didn't get to experience this game in its prime. So Project Scarlet's already set to release with its own exclusive first-person shooter, that being Halo Infinite. So PlayStation really need to answer back with an amazing game themselves. And I think if they can retouch back into what made Killzone so great, this would be a no-brainer for its launch. Recently, we've had the pleasure of 4 Crash Bandicoot games being remastered. It was a great trip down memory lane, and remasters seem to be all the rage lately. So wouldn't it just be great to see Sony's new console with the most recognized mascot making a return? I mean, just thinking about it, there are already so many Crash Bandicoot games that could be remastered and put onto the PlayStation 5 that many will be very happy to see, such as Crash Twinsanity, Crash Bandicoot The Wrath of Cortex, and Crash Tag Team Racing. PlayStation still get preferential treatment with Crash titles. The Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy released a year ahead of other consoles on PlayStation 4, so it wouldn't be out of the question to see Crash Bash making its first appearance on the PlayStation 5. When you consider how well the remastered Crash games have been doing, it wouldn't be out of the realms of impossible to see a new Crash adventure released on a PlayStation console for the first time since 2008.
You have no idea what you're walking into.
What are you doing?
You don't know how large that group is, how armed.
I don't care. You can't stop this.
The Last of Us 2 is scheduled to release on PlayStation 4, but it was recently announced that it will be delayed until the 29th of May. Realistically, you're looking at a 6-month period before the new console releases. There may be a handful of people who are saving for the PS5 already and are not willing to purchase the PS4 to play this game before its successor takes the reins. creating a remastered version with improved graphics and FPS, as well as adding on any DLC, as the original did when transitioning to the PS4, seems like a no-brainer. Although I'm unsure whether this game will release with the PlayStation 5, I think it's almost a guarantee that this game will be remastered at some point, considering it's not going to have a very long lifespan to really get the most out of it for those who have the PS4. There are a few games with a better track record than the Uncharted series. It's undoubtedly one of Sony's most valuable gaming franchises, and I'll be stunned if it doesn't get a 5th iteration in the story. The action-adventure third-person shooter draws inspiration from the Gears of War franchises and consistently captivates its audience. Naughty Dog's last Uncharted title was actually a spin-off series, proving that they really do have the formula for success and aren't afraid to wait a few years to deliver the goods.
We're all a bunch of thieves, digging around where we shouldn't.
Shame we're not on the same side.
I am a man of fortune, and I must seek my fortune. So,
Uncharted 4, which is the 3rd highest rated PS4 game on Metacritic, left the story with an almost perfect ending. Is it time for Cassie, who's Nate's daughter, to take the mantle and create her own adventure? This is similar to how Gears of War adapted their franchise story. They actually completed the full story within the 1st, 2nd and 3rd game, only to then revive the story's franchise and create a 4th, 5th and an eventual 6th game. Is this what Uncharted might do for themselves, creating a new story in the same universe only a few years later? It's definitely a possibility. Irrespective, it might be a tall ask to see Horizon Zero Dawn to make a debut on the PlayStation 5 at launch, considering the original took 6 years to make. But at some point in its lifespan, we're likely to see this game get a sequel. God of War has had a complicated history, with the original games based on Greek mythology, focusing on vengeance. After a hiatus of 5 years, which doesn't include the remasters, the God of War franchise was rebooted following Norse mythology. Again, it was another PlayStation game that was nothing short of perfection.
power of this weapon, any weapon, comes from here. But only when tempered by this. By discipline, the self-control of the one who wields it.
By adapting a new mythology to develop the storyline, there's tons of potential still to come from this franchise. The God of War franchise is a staple exclusive for PlayStation users and one that many look forward to every single time they get a new PlayStation console. It's probably a little bit unrealistic to expect a brand new game from the franchise to come for launch, but we're definitely going to see it at some point reach the PlayStation 5. Littlebigplanet is often overlooked as a game, let alone a PlayStation exclusive. The user-generated content-based game focuses on players creating, sharing, and playing levels rather than a story. The 3 games have over 10 million user-created levels. Despite not seeing a title since 2014, the Media Molecule devs produced Dreams in 2019 with the same concept as Littlebigplanet. So it's unsure whether we'll see Littlebigplanet 4 or Dreams 2, but it's hopeful that we'll see another game of this style make its way to the PlayStation 5. Spider-Man is a household name, and in the past few years it has been huge for the web-slinger, being introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and more importantly to PlayStation fans as a new video game.
This city's had enough of your vigilantism. You're officially an enemy of the people.
Come on, Peter.
There have been many great and classic Spider-Man games in the past, and it was worth the wait for this new superhero game that we received in 2018. Now, the previous game took 4 years to develop, so it would be a surprise to see a new one so soon. However, it wouldn't be a surprise to see a sequel drop at some point on the PlayStation 5. So those are the launch exclusives that we want to see on the PlayStation 5. Let us know in the comments down below what you want to see when the PlayStation 5 finally arrives in 2020. But what's going to make them decide which console to get is going to depend on the exclusives available. So here are the PlayStation 5 exclusive games we want to see at launch. Oh, well, like Mission Impossible style.